Hey everyone, this is Pat Mesiti, and a very fired up Pat Mesiti, I've got to tell you today. Look, I am at a point where you kind of want to tear my hair out in a sense, because we have a systemic and pandemic on our hands that is bigger than the whole coronavirus, woke Black Lives Matter thing. It's the systemic abuse of our children. Now, I'm going to speak to you today as a dad, as a grandparent, as a business leader, as someone who, cares for church and a spiritual leader, although, maybe my voice isn't as big as what it used to be, but I still got a voice. And when I watch the systemic abuse of children coming from every single quarter, I'm telling you, us adults, there's going to come a day of reckoning. And if you stay silent, you're going to reap a harvest you never wish you did. And I'm saying this as a clarion call, let me just say, I want the troops to march about something. The systemic abuse of our children. I'm going to show you a video that disturbed me yesterday. How these black lies, anarchist, agenda-driven people. And I want to say something to my preacher friends out there. And I know I'm going to be banned from some churches, but I don't give a rip anyway. I really don't care. Because you guys ought to be doing this. Some of my preacher friends, some of you mega church leaders, I would love to go down the list and name some of you. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves. You started a spark when you all lined up, particularly the ones over there in the US, you all lined up and marched in your woke thing about George Floyd. This is now not about George Floyd. This is about children now. This is about the 11 killings in New York in the past few weeks of children. This is about the 9 children shot in Chicago. 2 children aged 3. Their mother thought it was a firecracker. Sincere Gusser, a 20-month-year-old, shot in the chest. A 14-year-old child shot. 336 adult murders since July 2nd. Why aren't you marching? You marched for joy, and let me tell you what you did. You lit a spark of anarchy. And you allowed people, you gave them permission to create anarchy and havoc. And yet you don't march now. In New York, a 1-year-old shot at a cookout, 2 boys aged 12 and 15. And it goes on and on and on and on. And some of you woke preachers, you can't call this, the pain of people. That's bullcrap. Let me shoot your child and then tell me I'm in pain. Let someone rape your daughter. And some of you have got so many Instagram followers, you are more concerned about your following than the truth. You are sacrificing your own kids. And I say that about our political leaders. How the hell can the Labor and Greens be debating our Prime Minister on mandatory sentencing on convicted child abusers? Now, there's child abuse. Let me go back to what I was saying before. I'm not against preachers, I'm not against political leaders. But when you can stand up and march in a line, but you can't march now. You gave silent approval to anarchy. You lit a spark that has now become a bushfire that is destroying cities, particularly in America. And God knows here in Australia as well. Thank God for people like Jacinta Harris, an Aboriginal lady who's got an amazing insight into the whole lies of the Black Lives Matter. And it's not really about black lives at all. But I'm digressing. I want to stick to the main thing today about children. It's going to be a long one. I want to show you a video clip of some parents. Now, I apologize for the language. With encouraging children to march down the street with placards saying F the police. Have a look at this.
All right, watch out.
Show me time.
All right. Fuck the police.
What is it?
Fuck the police.
All right.
Fuck the police.
Say it. Can you do the?
Put your hands up, all right?
Fuck the
All right. Power to the people. Power to the people.
Thanks, kids.
What is wrong with these people? Is that the way you raise a child? Yet when someone comes and rapes or attacks that little girl, you know who you're going to need? The police. How can you sow a seed of anarchy, dishonor, disrespect? This is not about George Floyd. The systemic abuse of our children. Let me go down the line. In Sydney, a 2-year-old girl raped at Playland. Where's the outcry? Where's the outrage? Where's the outcry? Where's the demand for justice? The systemic abuse of our children sexually, politically. What you saw in that video clip was a political agenda. In our culture, I believe parents out there that use kids like that, you're criminals. That's what you are. Barbaric criminals. You see, there's a war in our children's minds. Have a look at the media. Have a look at what they're watching on TV right now. The kids don't know what's right and what's wrong. When we were kids, we knew who the bad guys were and who the good guys were. Now in our woke culture, it's this mix of grey. There's an abuse on their bodies. They're being trafficked around the globe sexually. Political leaders, people in high places, and they do nothing. Thank God for a Donald Trump and some other people out there that are willing to speak out about this sort of stuff. Their kids, their minds are being abused. Their bodies are being abused. Their innocence are being abused, and their future is being taken away. What is going to be left for these children? They're taught to dishonor, disrespect, hate, and not work. Dishonor, dishonoring authority. Respect of self, respect of their of their own bodies. That's been trashed because of pedophiles. Can you believe? Then this is the thing that fired me up this morning. That TED Talk, Mijam Haney, or whatever the hell you pronounce her name, gets up and speaks about pedophilia being a sexual orientation. Why would TEDx even give voice to this lunatic? And then, of course, you got psychiatric, and psychological studies. Now, let me tell you something. It's sick. There is no psychological study that can give verbal, emotional, or even social approval to the spirit of Moloch. You say, what's the spirit of Moloch? Moloch was the demon entity that they would sacrifice children to. Let me tell you something about demons. Demons don't go away, they just get recycled. The same spirit, what they would do, they would take children, and this demon Moloch was this big, ugly statue with his belly cut out, and they would throw the children in the fire, just like people are doing today. They're throwing them in the fire of political agenda. They're throwing them in the fire of woke culture. They're throwing them in the fire of sexual abuse. They're throwing them in the fire of what we've created with this corona Chinese virus pandemic. Our kids are living in fear. Absolute fear. And we stay silent. I'm not attacking you guys. I'm just venting. You can see I'm fired up. When we've got a culture, particularly back in the United States of America, where you want people they're a bit confused about their sexual orientation going into a bathroom. You're not going into my little granddaughter's bathroom, mate. You're not doing that. Not on my watch. And you ain't going to go into my daughter's bathroom. You ain't going to do that. And I believe anyone that does that, any departments that do that, department stores, they're the ones that we ought to picket and ban. The systemic abuse of children through political agenda, even through the clergy, sadly. Those that have been meant to protect our children have now sacrificed them on the altar of Moloch. We've thrown them into a fire. How on earth can psychologists call pedophilia a sexual orientation? Are you kidding me? What lunacy is this? Would you want your child, your granddaughter, your niece, your sister to be thrown into this fire of this demonic entity? Because that's what it is. Music has assaulted them. Have a look at the music. Nothing's changed. I used to do these rock and roll seminars. I was criticised for them then. I'm probably still criticised for them now. And by the way, some of the trash coming out of the black rap artists, who's calling them to account? And some of the white ones. And I don't use race as a, it's not a racial thing. It's a moral thing. When leaders in political places use them, they're assaulted mentally through music, political, parents, pedophiles, and let me add one more. Abortion. Let me give you the list of things that we've sacrificed our children. Abortion, pedophilia, music, politically, pandemics, television. These demons are after your kids. I'm speaking to you as a father and a grandfather. I'm speaking to you as hopefully someone will cause you to wake up. Jesus said these words. I'm not going to get preachy, but listen to me. Suffer the children to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of heaven. Jesus said, if you're not like a little child, you can't even get to heaven. Let me tell you what a child is. A child is vulnerable. A child is innocent. A child will believe almost anything you tell them. A child trusts. A child loves. A child accepts you regardless of your color, age, religion, or background. And a child is pure. Good book says that children are a gift from God, that they're our heritage. This is why the master said, let them come to me. And this is why these sickos, that's what we can call them. You know, I've made my mistakes in my lifetime, both morally and every other way. But our children, that's a no-go zone. When a 2-year-old gets raped in a toilet, that guy ought to go to jail for life. For life. For life. You want to kill 4 innocent children while you're a drunk driver? You ought to go to jail for life. We have to protect our children. We have to protect their innocence, their purity, their vulnerability, their love. When people like Margie Maheen and the rest of her crew give voice to sexual orientation, this is sympathy and empathy that will lead to, mark my words, these sympathetic, empathetic, woke, demonized mentality type people. Little by little, they're chiseling away at your sense of morality and values by playing the psychology card, the sympathy card, the woke card, the enlightened card. Let me tell you, we're not playing cards here. We're not playing cards. We're playing with the lives of our children, and it's not going to happen. You know, I gave 15, 20 years of my life reaching teenagers and kids in this country. Sadly, a lot of people want to forget that. I reached 1 million kids in a 10-year period. Sacrificed time with my own children to reach other people's children. Every parent, speak up. If Labor and Greens want to take 3 years to sign a bill for mandatory sentencing, don't ever vote for them again. They're the scum of the earth. How can you give? How can you justify that? What is our answer? Our children now are being used for terrorism. They're being used to create, well, dare I say it? Yeah, might as well go there. To create skincare products. That's right. Do your research. Aborted fetuses. Our children are being aborted. They're being used in terrorism. They're being used like that those people did in that march. They're being used to be trafficked around the globe sexually. They're being used as pawns. This is a spirit of lawlessness and the spirit of Moloch. Old demons don't die. They just get recycled, especially now in popular culture. I believe, number one, you're a sex offender. We need a public sex offender register. You as a parent, as a grandparent, have a right to know. That doesn't mean they don't get a second chance. But me being vigilant, Me being vigilant is one thing. You getting a second chance is your thing. Let me tell you something. My rights as a parent and a grandparent don't stop at the point where your feelings get hurt. My rights don't end where your feelings start. My rights don't end where my grandchildren live. My rights don't end where my kids live. Because of your feelings. You're going to get hurt. I believe we need to protect our children. I believe we need to provide for our children. I believe we need to teach our children. We need to nurture our children. We need to talk to them about what's right and what's wrong. We need to teach them how to love people regardless of race, color, religion. But we can't do that if we're sowing anarchism and dishonor and disrespect. For some of you parents that allowing kids to do that kind of stuff, you're going to reap a harvest you never wish you sowed. You know, it's funny, you can trace people on apps right now, but you can't trace a pedophile or a sex offender of children. I got criticized by a preacher friend of mine because I put up a post about 800 children that have gone missing, compared to 130,000, majority of 90 plus people dying of a pandemic created by an enemy that's red. I don't understand why we're fighting with mandatory sentences. That should have been law a long time ago. What we don't need is any more explanations why people are sacrificing our children. We need explanations why leaders, clergy, politicians, show business people are silent. Why the silence? Well, I can assure you, I'm not going to be silent. This coming Sunday, I'm going to do a series called Suffer the Little Children. I want to talk about children. I want to talk about a biblical and a worldview about kids. I'm very upset, I'm very angry, and I have a right to be, and so do you. We need to be people that stand up for our children. Can I encourage you to share this message? We've got to protect, we've got to nurture, we've got to teach. 20,000 crimes against children in this country alone every year. That is a pandemic. Where are my clergy friends? Why are you so silent, guys? You're the moral compass of our nation. I thank God for our Prime Minister who's got the guts, at least to stand up to some stuff. Why do I pick on my clergy mates? I'm not picking on them. I love them. They're my mates. And I'm asking them, use your platforms. My speaker friends, use your platforms. Don't worry about your likes and it affecting your business and how many people are going to open and close or unsubscribe to your databases. Have some guts. Have some balls. You've got followings out there. Use it. I thank God for some mates out there, Jamie and George. They're using their databases and their platforms to speak out. I'm asking the rest of you to do the same. You believe the children are our future? Teach them well, let them lead the way. Teach them all the beauty they possess in life. It's more than a song. Let's put some action to it before the spirit of Moloch has more children thrown into the fire of woke, compromise, and pop psychology. This is Pat Mesiti. Have a prosperous life.